The Mandalorian, Chapter 24, or Episode 8 of Season 3, The Return. Now, before we even get into everything, let's just say once again, just like last week, the episode title basically means nothing, and it kind of almost makes no sense. I don't really know what they're doing with those titles for the season. It's very strange to me, but let's get into it here. So, Mandalorian, we're picking right up from last week. Basically, the Mandalorians are now trying to escape Moff Gideon. He's got his whole, crew and whatever. He's got his entire fleet of ships and whatnot going after the Mandalorians now. They're trying to now come down, alert the ones up in the sky, bring them down, and basically have a battle. That's basically what they're trying to do. Din Djarin is captured by Moff Gideon, so we see him getting taken away. And then he saves himself, actually, and then Grogu comes in and actually helps him in the end. So it's kind of like him and Grogu kind of escape. I'm kind of glad they did that because I didn't really want Bo-Katan just to come in and save Din Djarin again. So I'm glad he was able to get himself out of that. But then he has this whole thing of, we needed to stop Moff Gideon once and for all. He tells Grogu that because he's just going to keep coming back or whatever. So we're just going to finish this once and for all. So now he has a plan to go and find Moff Gideon and deal with him. So that's where we're going to go with Din Djarin. We see Moff Gideon. He's watching the hologram of realizing the Mandalorian and Grogu are now basically trying to find him, and he has escaped. So now Moff Gideon is alerted of that. Din Djarin contacts R5 because apparently R5 is just still with the Mandalorians. He contacts R5 to basically come down and infiltrate the Imperial base and find out Moff Gideon's maps and plans, and he gets that. So now he's able to find out where he's going, and he's able to find Moff Gideon's place to go and get Moff Gideon. Axe Woves, he finally shoots all the way up from the planet to the ships. He's able to go all the way from the planet's surface to their ships in space with his jetpack. But earlier in the season, the Mandalorians literally couldn't even travel through a little canyon for I don't even know how long. It's strange. I know he's part of a different clan and everything, but we saw the Mandalorians in that earlier episode where they could hardly use their jetpacks before it just ran out. And Axe Woes is able to go up all the way up through the planet's atmosphere and just go up to their light cruiser to basically warn them and say, we all need you to head back down. So all the Mandalorians, they shoot out, they head back down, and then the Moff Gideon's thing, his fleet starts shooting back up with all his TIE fighters, starts attacking the light cruiser, and Axe Woes is the only one left on the light cruiser, so he takes control, and it basically just gets obliterated, and he has to basically maneuver the ship downwards because he has a plan to crash it. So we get to see Din Djarin do some cool fighting. He makes his way through we saw those laser shield doors that Moff Gideon walked through last episode. He makes his way to that, and obviously there are troopers waiting there to protect Moff Gideon, so we get this cool thing where R5 is opening the doors for him one at a time so he can fight each two set of troopers. He gets some of their weapons and stuff, and he fights them all off, and then they enter this room where there is a bunch of clones and these things for Moff Gideon, and we realize if you look in the actual cloning things, it's a bunch of Moff Gideon clones. And this whole storyline this is apparently what the whole storyline's been with Moff Gideon and Grogu since season 1, is he's been trying to get, basically probably Grogu's blood. He's trying to get Grogu's force powers into a better clone of himself. I don't know exactly what he intended on doing with all that, but that was the idea, is that Moff Gideon was making a bunch of clones of himself, and he was testing on making a better version of himself with the Force, because he doesn't have the Force. That's kind of what I assumed he was doing to himself. I guess he's putting clones of himself together with it, but then immediately they just completely kill them all. They drown them or blow them up or whatever. Din Djarin does something, and then they all just die. So all his clones are dead, and that whole storyline just kind of blew up, literally, as he enters the next room to go find Moff Gideon. So that whole storyline of what Moff Gideon was doing, his whole plan, just basically ended there within less than a minute after entering the room, and that was it. So by the way, before we even see the cool fight stuff, the other Mandalorians, they escape. They have playtime in the gardens, and then they shoot right back out, go right back to battle. So right after they play in the gardens, they shoot right back out, going back in the battle. And then we cut back to some really cool scenes. Now, I will say my favorite part of the episode is the CG scenes, basically, because you could tell that all the Mandalorians in this big fight scene in the sky with all their jetpacks, it's all done with like CG, and it looks fine to me. It looks pretty good. But you could tell it is a CG because of the way they're moving, and just it's a lot more action packed. Even this shot alone looks very just it's CG, and I'm fine with it because it actually for once gave us some really exciting action in the episode, compared to literally all the really, really dull action and fight scenes we've seen throughout season 3 of The Mandalorian. But this is like suddenly like next level 180 of what all the different fight scenes this season have been. And I'm all here for it because it looked really great, but it's very inconsistent of how dull everything has been this season. So it looked really great. Like it looked really cool. I really like Bo-Katan leading in with the Darksaber. It's a cool shot. The storyline's been a little weird to me, but it's a cool looking shot. Definitely a really nice thing to see, I guess, just to see all the Mandalorians together and trying to take back Mandalore. And I guess that's basically what this episode can be titled, I guess. It's like the return to Mandalore. They're returning the Mandalore. They're coming back to take their planet over. I can't really make any other sense of the episode title because there's no like big character return or anything. It's just them fighting Moff Gideon and then defeating him, and that's it. They take back Mandalore. So it's them returning the Mandalore, I guess. I don't know. There's a big fight. Din Djarin confronts Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon's all pissed off because Din Djarin killed all of his precious clones, and now he's all mad because it was his big plan the entire time. And then they fight. He sends out the Praetorian guards. They fight a little bit. Din Djarin, of course, he's going to have better skills against these Praetorian guards. And then the guards, they got him pinned down. Grogu is off on the side because they came in together, and they basically go chase Grogu in another room, close the doors. And then we get another ridiculous Grogu jumping around like a little like weightless dead puppet thing. It looks really silly. He's just like running around on the high beam light things away from the Praetorian guard. Just like a silly little scene. He's like giggling around and stuff. I think it's really lame. I'm kind of over the whole Grogu being cute stuff. It's really stupid. I'm over it. And yeah, it's just very unnecessary scene. So Bo-Katan, of course, comes in because we need the big fight between Bo-Katan and Moff Gideon because we haven't really seen them fight yet. So she just randomly comes in to help out Din Djarin. So she doesn't really save him. I guess she does, but doesn't. And then she comes in and wants to fight Moff Gideon herself. Pulls out the Darksaber. He gets ready, pulls out his spear thing, puts his helmet on. Really cool shot. Like, I like his helmet. I like her with the Darksaber. It looks cool. And then Din Djarin goes off to save Grogu. He takes out the Praetorian guards with a little bit of the help with the Force with Grogu. And they save the day. They basically kill all the guards. So, like, poor Paz Vizsla hardly doesn't even get a mention besides the preview in the beginning. That dude just died from them easily, and now they're dead. Then here comes the light cruiser, completely just obliterated and crashing down to the planet. Axe Woves is piloting the thing, and he is trying to aim it and pilot it into the Imperial facility, so he basically wrecks it because they don't want Moff Gideon to have it anymore. We get some cool fight scenes with Moff Gideon and Bo-Katan, and it's a long time coming to see this fight between them. I get it. So it's nice to see them fight a little bit, but just the way it ends, I'll say this now, it's very, very lame. So during the battle, Moff Gideon gets a hold of the Darksaber, and the Darksaber, he has this new mechanical suit. So he literally just takes it and crushes it. So I don't like that this really cool blade that's been in several Star Wars shows now and everything like that is just crushed. And we're done with the Darksaber because of what happens after that with the whole facility. I never saw anyone pick it up. So the Darksaber is gone. It's just gone. It's crushed. It's wrecked. There's no more Darksaber. And Bo-Katan no longer has it. And it just felt like it was supposed to be such an important blade for the Mandalorians, and suddenly it just was a throwaway little thing. She doesn't have her weapon anymore. Oh no. So there it is. It's gone. Just this important Mandalorian weapon that I really love to see in the show. I mean, it's gone. Maybe that's the point. Make us miss the Darksaber. It, went out in a cool fight. I don't know. I wish it would have just stayed. There was no real purpose to do it, but the Darksaber is, right now as I know, it's just gone. It's wrecked, destroyed. And here comes the light cruiser perfectly right into the Imperial facility, like cave hole thing, and it's crashing. And then Din Djarin, Bo-Katan, and Moff Gideon, they're all fighting. They're like, shooting each other, blasting back and forth as everything is like crashing around them. And then Moff Gideon, this villain that we've been building for the last 3 seasons for The Mandalorian, just eventually just reaches this point where he just stands there. And then he just opens his arms in a way and just like almost looks up, and he just burns. He gets incinerated by the crashing ship, and he's dead. So Moff Gideon's dead, guys, and that's how he goes out. He just gets incinerated by a conveniently positioned crashing light cruiser into his facility, and he just burns up and dies with not really going out with any fight. He just kind of whimpers out, and it's unfortunate because I really liked his character in season 1 and 2, and they just brought him in last episode. He was hardly in the season, and now he's just brought in last episode just to kind of fumble around a little bit, say some mean words, and then just gets burned to death, and that's it. He gets incinerated. So bye Moff Gideon, I guess. I mean, so much for that. I guess Thrawn is just the focus now of all this Mandoverse. So goodbye Moff Gideon. Your whole plan got destroyed in this like last 5 minutes. Of course, that's what I said was going to happen. Is with how filler the season was, they're going to have to wrap everything up very quickly, and that's exactly what happened, and I don't like that. And then Grogu does the same exact thing he did in season 1. So season 1, he did the whole forcing the fire away from that trooper who had the big flamethrower thing. He does it again because they don't have any original ideas anymore. Now he just does it again to save Din Djarin and Bo-Katan from the big flame that engulfed Moff Gideon. So they're safe. He uses the Force for a little cool Force power again, because that's all Grogu can really do at this point in this show, is show off his cool little Force abilities in some big move in the finales. He saves them both. Of course, they're not going to die. And they're safe. That's it. It's over. That's the fight. The Mandalorians have won. They've taken back Mandalore. Moff Gideon's dead. And everything is well. So they're in the caves. This is where Din Djarin and Bo-Katan were at the beginning in season 2, episode 2, where they saw the Mythosaur, which, by the way, the Mythosaur storyline, pointless. Absolutely pointless. We see it again here after this scene here, but the armorer is basically back with this kid again that was taken by the dinosaur creature earlier on. He's basically just like bathing in the waters now. That's like their thing that they do now. He's bathing in the waters to become Mandalorian again or something. I don't know. And then Din Djarin, he brings in Grogu, and he says, okay, well, can I, accept Grogu as my apprentice now as a Mandalorian or something? And the armorer says that he can't become an apprentice unless his parents approve, because he can't speak the words and all that stuff. And we mentioned that earlier. Grogu doesn't speak yet, so he can't speak the words of becoming part of the creed. So he's like, okay, well, can I accept him as my son then? Can I adopt him as my son so then he can become a Mandalorian apprentice with me? And it's like, you basically adopted this damn kid in season 1. So we're making up this whole new story. Oh my God, I've been traveling around with him for who knows how long at this point. But now I'm just going to say I adopted him now. You literally took this kid in season 1. You've been with him since then. Okay, this is nothing new. So that's their excuse for just saying, okay, Grogu can now just be with Din Djarin, and that's it. So Grogu looks into the water, and then we get this little zoom down into the depths of the water there, the living waters of Mandalore, and we see the Mythosaur again. It's just sitting there. It's just sitting there, doing nothing. It's doing literally nothing. And then we're just done with it. It doesn't do anything else. So we saw the Mythosaur in episode 2 with Bo-Katan, and we thought it was going to be this really crazy cool thing that she could have done later. And I thought when they destroyed the Darksaber, maybe the Mythosaur was going to rise. That never happened. Moff Gideon just burned away. No, we didn't do anything with the Mythosaur. Apparently it was just a little tiny plot device to make the armorer say, oh yeah, you're the greatest one ever, and you can unite us all, because he saw it. Because I believe you. Totally, I believe you. And that's the whole plot device of the Mythosaur. That's it. They didn't do anything with this creature. I guess they didn't have the CGI budget to make this creature fully fleshed out in this season. Oh well, I don't even know if we'll see it again. I really don't. I don't really care at this point. So they're at the forge, the big great forge on Mandalore. They've taken it back. The armor and Bo-Katan are there, and they light the forge again. And Mandalore is back to the Mandalorians. They've taken it back over for Mandalore. Yay! So remember how last episode was titled "The Spies"? By the way, the armorer was like a big theory of like, oh, she could maybe be bad or evil because she left with the Mandalorians just in time, like last episode. No, she's just normal as usual, which, it's fine, but like, what was the point of that episode title last week? Who were the spies? I don't know. I don't get it. But so everything's just happy. So there's no stakes. There's nothing really crazy or insane that happens. There is no stakes in this. Din Djarin, he goes to the New Republic place that we saw, like Carson Teva and Zeb in that one episode earlier. Don't even remember which one it was. A few episodes ago. That little cameo for Zeb. We go back to this place. Din Djarin, I guess he just knows where it is. He goes there and tells this guy that, like, okay, I'm back for hire again as a bounty hunter, in a way, kind of. But I have this kid now, so I have to be a little more careful, even though you've had the kid the whole time. And I'm willing to serve the New Republic as a hire for the New Republic, as kind of like a contractor. And he wants to basically help the New Republic fight Imperial remnants and whatnot. And we all know the Thrawn stuff is coming. So I'm assuming we'll see Din Djarin again fighting, maybe, against Thrawn. Like maybe with Ahsoka or something. I don't know. But that's basically the whole thing they set in place, and that's it. And then they left with an IG-11 or IG unit head that was placed up on the bar as a payment to, like, have Din Djarin help. There he is. So they go back to Navarro, and IG-11 is back and walking around again. So, Grogu's little mech is, I guess, done. But he's alive again, and he's going to serve as the marshal for Navarro. Yippee. And then Din Djarin has his own little home on Navarro with Grogu. And that's it. That's it. That's the episode. It ends. So the episode ends with Din Djarin just chilling at his new little tiny home on Navarro with Grogu, playing with the frogs again, and it ends. So I thought Din Djarin might have died in this episode. I went into this episode thinking they could kill him because I know there's rumors of Pedro Pascal drama. The whole season kind of turned into a Bo-Katan season, but I will say, as disappointing as I think this finale is for me and how lackluster it is, I will say I'm glad that they kept their main character, hopefully their main character, at least hopefully into whatever story they do next. Hopefully, maybe it's a season 4, I don't know at this point. But Din Djarin's alive. Maybe the Pedro stuff will get resolved at some point if it's real, and they'll just continue to do more. I don't know, but we're literally back to just Grogu and Din chilling and doing little adventures. It's almost like they just want to go back to that because that's what made them money. I don't know. And Bo-Katan, I don't know what the story they could do going forward with her because they've retaken Mandalore. That whole thing is done. Retaking Mandalore is done. We don't really have to follow it anymore unless there's some bigger threat. I think going into the next seasons or story or whatever they're going to do, they'll just end up having Din Djarin and Grogu just running around doing little random missions again like they were. And once there's a bigger threat like Thrawn, Din Djarin will go back to Mandalore, get Bo-Katan and the Mandalorians, and have them help him fight Thrawn with Ahsoka and New Republic and whoever as a big battle in the end. I think that's maybe what they could do. But I don't think this finale was... It was definitely one of the better episodes. It wasn't terrible. The last 2 episodes, as I said, after that Jack Black and the Lizzo episode, I said that after that episode, it's we have to rush everything now. And they did. They rushed everything. Moff Gideon's whole story was terribly, terribly ended. I really liked his character, and they just ruined him. Just ruined his character in this, and they just killed him off in the most ridiculous way. I expected him to die, but it was such a terrible way. I'm glad Din Djarin's still our main character, hopefully, but again, there was no stakes. There's no big main hero except if you want to count Paz Vizsla from last episode. There's no big main hero that died or anything. We're 3 seasons in, and this was supposed to be some big fight for Mandalore, and everything's all peachy. That's it. So, Moff Gideon's defeated. Mandalorian's all good and happy, and we're back to Grogu and Mando just chilling again. It's fine. It's serviceable. It was a very safe finale, that I will say. It's not a risky finale. Now, honestly, at this point, I was willing to just let them do whatever. They've already ruined a lot of the season for me. It was really not enjoyable for me. Just go all out and just do something crazy. Kill Din Djarin or something. Have a bunch of bigger Mandos die. Kill Bo-Katan. I don't know. Have Thrawn show up. No, they didn't do anything. And I can't really be mad about it being something terrible. It was just fine. It's a very safe finale for setting up basically where we were in season 1 of Mando, where Grogu's just chilling with Din Djarin again, and there's no real goal, end goal really. They're just there chilling. So The Mandalorian is a very... This season was so strange. It was so strangely paced. The whole Bo-Katan story is just now done. We're just done with it. We're back to Din and Grogu and Moff Gideon. I just don't like how the season was done. The finale was very rushed. There was some cool bits. I do like some of the bits, the fight scenes and stuff like that. I like that Din Djarin is still around. I do like the character. But I'm not really satisfied with the ending. I'm just okay, it works. It works. I don't know where they go from here. There's no cliffhanger. There's no thing to get me oh, I'm really excited to see what happens next. No, Thrawn's going to be in Ahsoka. That's kind of the next story, but I have no care. I could never see Din Djarin and Grogu again. I'd be fine. The story kind of wrapped up. Maybe that's the whole idea. I don't know. But that is The Mandalorian Season 3. That is the finale. Bad season. I don't like it. But the last 2 episodes, it might save it for some people. I think it was a very safe and very, very low risk few episodes, besides Paz Vizsla, if you even count him as a significant character to die. Lots of sequel tie-ins. Don't like that either. And this is where we're at now. This final shot is Din Djarin and Grogu back together again. I like that, but I don't know where else they can go with this story. And it's been very evident throughout that season that I don't think they know what to do anymore. I just don't. So that's my review. Breakdown of the Mandalorian Season 3 finale. We'll see what happens next. Maybe they'll announce a Season 4. Maybe they'll just merge Mando's story into some other show or movie. I don't know. I would assume a Season 4 would happen. But we'll see. But that's it for the Mandalorian Season 3. And we'll see what happens next.